Hi, welcome back to another video. In a previous video, I cast these skulls out of plaster, and I'm trying to think of some things to do with it. And I found a couple of pieces of inspiration. One thing is this painting by Vance Kelly, and it reminded me of the Dead King in Lord of the Rings, and also the ring wraiths from the same series. Now, to make it look like an ancient king, I need to add some more detail, so I broke out my Dremel tool and various tiny bits and put in some extra details. All right, here are the details. You can see I've added some scratches. I've defined the teeth, put in the sutures along the skull. There were a few flaws in the skull, holes from when I cast them, like bubbles, and I just turned those into features. Here you can compare it with one that hasn't been detailed so you can see the difference. Now it's time to paint it, and I'm going to speed through this because I have a whole video on how to paint skulls and bones. I'll link to it up above. But the basic process is base coating it first in ivory, and then I'm going to use some very watery washes of dark browns or various browns and paint it on, wipe it off right away. It stains it and sticks into the low areas, using lots of different colors of brown in different places, and then fine-tuning it with some very dark brown with black added into it to bring out those very fine details. And with that, the painting is done. So now let's add the hair. I've got a few different colors of black and brown hair here that I picked up at the dollar store. This is like for extensions. And I'm mixing them together because hair is actually not all one color. It's got lots of different colors. So I'm just going to kind of spread these apart and mix them together, kind of shuffle it to get a variety. So I'm going to cut it here in the middle. And then I'm going to run a bead of glue across the head and try to stick the ends of the hair straight down into it like it's growing out of the skull itself. And I'll do this in several layers. Looking good so far, but I think we need some facial hair. So we'll do the same process across his face. Give him a beard and a mustache. There we go. To make the crown, I'm going to start by just using a strip of paper around the head so that I can find out the actual diameter. Then I'll unfold that and design what the crown should look like. And I forgot to record. I even forgot this next part. So this is just thin copper sheeting. You can buy it on Amazon. And what I did is I took the piece of paper after cutting it out and I laid it down on the copper. Then with a Sharpie, I just kind of colored over the edge like this and then flipped it upside down. Put it on the other side, not upside down, but flipped it over and did the same thing. And now I've got a symmetrical pattern here. And it's easy to cut this with scissors, but don't use your best scissors. It probably dulls them. And then we just bend it around his head to make sure it fits. And to connect it together, I'm going to do it the way that you do it when connecting copper pipes. I used some flux. We're going to heat it up. I ended up having to use the torch. This flame wasn't strong enough. And use solder, and it connects it together. Now it's pretty floppy and I wish it had more detail, so I went back through and with a little ball tool, I pushed through and added some fluting and other details. This made it more sturdy and a lot more interesting to look at. But this is supposed to be old copper, so we need to make it look like that. And old copper, or when copper turns old, it turns green. It's called verdigris. And that usually takes a very long time, but we're going to speed up the process. So I've got some white vinegar here, and a bunch of table salt. And I dipped this in the vinegar, added some salt, and then this is a damp paper towel that has the salt vinegar mixture over it. I'm just going to cover it. And it starts happening within just a few minutes, but I let it sit for a full overnight. And let's see what it looks like. Look at that. Look how blue-green that is. It's beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. One last little detail. I'm going to glue a couple of gems onto the front of the crown with CA glue. And let's fit it on there and see how it looks. Looks very nice. Now we want to display it nicely, so let's make a base. I just took some scrap plywood, covered it with some fake leather. It's kind of a suede leather. I glued it down with spray adhesive and cut out a circle of it so that I could glue this wood directly to the board. And just using hot glue, I'm going to glue the skull on. The last thing I need to do is trim up the hair to make it look more realistic. And then we're done. Let's take a look at the final product. As always, I had so much fun making this project and turning something into something even cooler. If you liked this video, then please help my channel out by leaving a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that other people might also like this video. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe so that you see my future videos. Until next time, don't be bored, be creative.